I would say my advice for new teachers next year would be to give yourself permission to have many off days and even bad days. I think there's a lot of pressure that we receive societally and just kind of our own internal pressure that in order for the kids to have a good education, things have to be, perfect all the time.
In teaching, advice I would give is just kind of enjoy yourself. It's going to be a trip and you're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's going to happen. And never be afraid to ask for advice. You have plenty of veteran teachers all around you. Use them. They're valuable tools.
Advice I have for new teachers next year is give yourself grace. It's okay if you're not doing it all. And yeah, it's really important to give yourself grace and self-care.
Don't be afraid to leave school on time and to take care of yourself outside of school. Make sure that you're sleeping and you're eating well, and that you can leave the classroom messy and you can still have time to fix it up before the beginning of the next day, and to take care of yourself before putting everything in front of it.
I would say don't forget to take care of yourself, because if you are not at 100%, you can't be helpful to anyone else. And always remember, you're not alone. You have your whole staff and then some to help you. So don't feel like you are by yourself and alone when you're going through something tough.
Advice I would have for new teachers for next year would be that it's never too late to fix something that you don't like in your room. So whether that's like what kids are doing or a system you have in place, know that you can constantly fix that and it can change.
The advice I have for new teachers, whether they are just starting out teaching or just entering Edmonds School District, is just to have fun. Every day you're going to face a lot of new challenges and a lot of different things will come your way. But you just got to have fun with your students, fun with your mistakes you're going to make, and just fun with learning the curriculum. It's a challenge, but it's fun.
So advice I would have for new teachers is to take a lot of deep breaths and pace yourself, and to partner with your instructional coaches, because they are truly there to support you. And although it's intimidating to have them in your classroom when you're doing lesson planning, they are absolutely there 100% to make sure that you succeed.
I have been doing morning meeting with my kiddos, and I can tell a big difference between how the kids are this year with how they interact with one another versus how maybe other groups of kids I've taught have interacted with each other, and it's made a big difference as far as the kids making friends in the class, and then also just interacting more respectfully with one another. They kind of get over disagreements more quickly just because there is that space at the beginning of the day when they have a structured way that they can play with each other, basically.
For me in the classroom, my favorite part is getting to know the students. Every year it changes, and kind of getting used to their personalities and figuring out how it works as a whole, and then really making my lessons work for them. It's something that's always rewarding for me, and I want to keep doing year to year.
Something I loved doing in my classroom this year was building relationships with the students. I mean, that's the number one thing you can do, is just get to know them and love on them and show them you care.
Something I loved doing in the classroom this year was really just getting to know my students and being silly with them. I teach kindergarten, and having moments just to dance and sing and get wiggles out and see them as a child outside of the academic setting is really fun.
I really enjoyed doing math talks this year. It's such a wonderful way to get your kids to engage and not do just, oh my gosh, what's the term I'm looking for? Like just mundane, like rote exercises. When you do math talks, they're doing higher cognitive demand tasks, and especially for my EL learners, it's a way for them to understand that there's no right or wrong way to get the answer. You just need to be able to defend your answer.
Something I loved doing in my classroom this year was morning meeting. I think it really helped create a positive culture in my classroom, and it was a really nice way to start our day.
I would say the biggest thing I loved doing in my classroom this year was getting to know my students. I talk a lot about having fun, and I try to implement that myself. When I get to know my students, I get to know who they are, and probably the most fun thing for me was going to see their games. I went to see roller derby and basketball and some soccer and a bunch of different things. And so building relationships in the classroom was the most fun thing I learned.
What I'm doing in my classroom, we did a lot of partners with older grades so that we were able to have some buddy reading, and something that I really enjoyed doing was seeing master teachers and mentors come in and model in my classroom, so then I could see for myself how different lesson planning and curriculum planning played out.
I would say this year I got a little caught up in holding the kids accountable for every single little piece of paper that I gave them, and it's just become more of a big headache for me and a big headache for the kids. And so I've cut back a lot just on the number of assignments I've given students, where I still have a really high bar for what I expect them to do with those assignments, but I've just been much more selective about what I've actually had the kids spend their time doing, just because it was turning into such a big headache for me to try to keep track of everything I was asking them to do, as well as it was stressing out the kids because their little 10-year-old brains could not hold on to all of the assignments that I was asking them to do every week. So next year, I want to do a lot more of like project-based learning so that there is less individual components or fewer individual components for me to grade.
This year, I've been moving around a lot in my teaching career, and getting used to the curriculum every single year has been a very difficult thing. And even just going through the curriculum this year, I may have made less mistakes than I have in the past, but I still made a ton of them. And then next year, I'm going to have to look back at the curriculum again and figure out what worked and what didn't work, and really, really kind of hone in on what I want to focus on for each lesson.
Try not to compare myself to other teachers so much, because there's teachers who've been teaching for 15 years, and it's okay if you're not doing everything.
Something I would change as a teacher that I did this year is probably how I set up center times, and just knowing what works best for my kids and being okay with changing how things are run or the schedule of the day to better fit the needs of your students.
That I would love to try next year is more flex seating. We were able to observe a teacher, and in her classroom there is no concrete space for them to sit, so everything is flexible. So there's workspaces and workstations, and I feel like it's really important, especially those that need that extra kinesthetics moving, to be able to learn wherever, and for us to be supportive of them.
Something that I will do next year that I want to change is really being purposeful in how my kids work together in groups and in partners. So that's something I'll start from the beginning of the year next year.
The one thing I would change when I started the year is I didn't have a clear classroom management system in place. I felt like I was trying to survive and stay above water, which is what happens as a first-year teacher. But I would have something in place. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just something that we can work on and work towards and improve.
Something I would definitely change next year. I would try not to take on so much. At the beginning of the year, I think you have so much energy and you think that you have all the time in the world, but as a working parent and having just too much on your plate, I think that you can get burnt out easily, and so definitely pace yourself. And something else I would change, I got some advice when I went to the new teacher orientation, which was at the end of the day, clear your desk. And so that even though your room and things got a little crazy, and you might have had things that didn't go as well as you had planned, your desk is always something you can be in control of, and so to have a nice clean desk is nice to start your day with.